marami na akong pinagsasabi, marami na akong naubos na rin yung boses ko, kaya siguro I will stop here and allow my other co-panelists to react or further confirm what I have been saying. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Very interesting po dahil ang dami-dami, no? I think even yung ating mga guests ngayon coming from the different online payment platform are also interested to ask question. Ang dami pong gustong magtanong sa ating audience ngayon, pero ito po, may mga ilan dito, no? Nabanggit po ninyo kanina kasi dati-dati 1% lang yung gumagamit ng digital, tapos 8% yung sa kumbaga computation niya, then it increased to 10%. But if we look at 10%, medyo mababa pa rin yun in terms of the number of people making use of digital as their when they pay and all that. Siguro unang tanong po natin, sir, how do we increase po and how do we encourage people to use? May mga nabanggit na rin kayo kanina, pero siguro kung ako ay isang consumer, kung ako ay isang MSME, paano po natin ma-encourage pa yung ating mga kababayan na gamitin na po yung platform na ito po, sir?
Actually, I think maganda yun. Thank you for bringing that up. Yung 10%, yung growth ng 1% to 10% in terms of volume, that gives enough momentum eh. But take note, 2018 pa ho yung yung cut-off. Marami nang nangyari after 2018. Mas marami pang digital transactions since then. Yung target nga ho namin is by the end of 2020, dapat umakyat yan at the very least 20%. And by 2023, tinatrack namin yan dapat by 50% na. But ang nakakatulong dyan, because nandiyan yung mga plataforma, is more of awareness. Awareness that there are these platforms. Kaya kailangan natin more of these kinds of literacy programs para lang ma-market rin and to make it to greater awareness that these platforms are available. Lalo sa ating mga small businesses, baka hindi nila alam that if they have a bank account or a electronic money account na pwede na pagtagkapan, pwede nang gawan niya ng electronic transfer, meaning they can actually use InstaPay or PesoNet as an option for payment.
Yes po. Tama yung sinasabi niyo, no? Kailangan lang talaga natin ng marami pang awareness about this. And I think nga, importante dito, meron talagang bank account yung ating MSME o isang consumer if they want to be a part of this. So, lahat po ba?
Actually, ka-clarify ko lang ho, hindi lang bank account. Pwede rin electronic money account.
Yes. Okay, electronic money.
Electronic money account, other than banks, you have the likes of mga panelists natin na yun that we also supervise. And are able to also facilitate the same kind of digital transfer of funds.
Okay po. Ayun, may tanong dito talking about regulation na. What are the Philippines laws or regulations in line with the online payment or the digital platforms?
Actually, we have the NRPS, nasa regulasyon ho namin yan, na in terms of being able to provide digital services. Right now kasi, to be able to provide digital services, kailangan lisensyado ka. Lisensyado ka as a banking institution or an electronic money institution. Now, pag mayroon na siyang lisensya na yun, mag-a-apply na lang siya ng electronic delivery of financial services. Yun ho yung ibang authority. Nasa law ho ng Central Banking Act yan.
Okay po. Ang ganda, no? Sabi ko nga kanina, pati yung po ating mga panelists ngayon, I think after your presentation, marami rin silang gustong itanong or reaction. Siguro, we'd like to hear now from our panelists how you react in the presentation of the Managing Director of Central Bank. From Union Bank, JP, any thoughts?
Hi, thank you, Nelly. Actually, very, very timely yung presentation ni Direct V3, ni MDV3. Kasi he's really promoting particularly NRPS as a very key initiator, enabler para sa e-commerce, sa e-payments na ginagawa natin ngayon. Tama po yung sinabi ni Sir V3 na wala na pong boundaries ngayon. Kahit anong bangko ka pa manggaling, kahit saang bangko pa papunta yan. kahit cash card yan or Paymaya or GCash, lahat yan enabled dun sa pagpasahan ng pera, which is really, really important. Lalo na, I think napakalaki ng jump talaga yan, lalo na ngayong panahon ng pandemic, lahat tayo naka-lockdown, walang makalabas, hindi naman lahat ng branches bukas. So napakalaki na spike sa paggamit ng mga tao ngayon. And nandito kami with all the banks doing their best, all the platforms like Paymaya, GCash, GrabPay doing their best to provide simpler ways para maka-onboard po kayo, yung mga SMEs natin, yung mga general public, the Filipinos, mapadala yung paraan para maka-onboard kayo sa amin at magamit nyo kagad yung mga facilities na spearhead ng BSP sa gantong panahon.
Okay, thank you very much. From GCash, Mr. Justin Yap, do you have any reaction or your thoughts na lang doon po sa presentation ng ni Sir? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Miss Nelly. So napakaganda ng presentation ni Sir V3. The really important word for me was interoperability because it leads to further inclusion ng mga kababayan natin at access. It doesn't just stop in giving them access to a mobile wallet or a bank account, no? Giving them access to mga accounts din ng mga, well, in terms of sending and payments doon sa ibang mga kasamahan din nila na ibang platform yung inavail. So we are truly on the road to including everybody into that digital financing system. So yun yung very promising about the presentation of Sir V3, no?
Yes,
So yun yung
interoperability. Thank you very much, Justin. GrabPay, Johnny Bates, any reaction or any thoughts on the presentation of our friend from Central Bank, please?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I mean, it's a very timely presentation as always and more relevant now than ever, especially with the focus on convenience and overall safety, especially during this pandemic. And we here at Grab, we're very thankful with how progressive and forward-thinking the BSP has been, especially with the introduction of the National Retail Payment System. And I mean, also for holding this sort of webinar to really champion online payments and especially on enabling small and medium-sized sellers. On our end, we are also close to integrating with InstaPay as well, and eventually Pesonet. So we're really looking forward to introducing that.
Okay, so not only the banks, but even these online payment platforms are already making use of what was mentioned, a lot of what was mentioned by our friend from Central Bank early on. He also mentioned about the QR code that Central Bank is into. Nandito po yung head ng business for QR ecosystems ng Paymaya. Maybe you'd like to react on that part of the presentation of Managing Director De Villa. Raymond?
So una, papasalamat ako actually yung leadership ng BSP pati ng DTI for these types of webinars. Kasi napaka-progressive. Actually 5 years ago, galing din akong US. Nakita ko kung gaano ka-importante ang shift in digital kasi napakabilis. Ngayon, papunta from texting, ngayon Viber saka Facebook Messenger na. Diyan din ang nakikita namin naman sa payments. Kung dati, cash ang bayaran, papuntang digital payments yan. Hindi natin maihinto yung pagpasok niyan. Actually, nung nangyari yung sakuna sa atin ngayon, kita mo na pabilis talaga. And one of the things na talagang, I guess, yung pinaka-safe ngayon na payments, na face-to-face, nakikita namin na ang QR payments is one of them. Kasi may distansya talaga eh. Pag nakita mo yung kausap mo at nagbabayad ka ng, I guess, anything from a store, may distansya kayo at napaka-safe niyan. So dati ang sinasabi namin, secure yan kasi talagang yung bayaran nyo, walang kupit, walang ganon. Pero ngayon, even yung sheer distance ngayon, napaka-importante. So sa amin naman, sa Paymaya, we are definitely in support of the QRPH. Actually, we're one of the earliest adopters of it. So makikita nyo, pag kumuha kayo ng merchant QR galing sa Paymaya NEGOSYO, that will be enabled QRPH in the future as well. So we're very supportive of ng ginagawa ng BSP.
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much. Ang ganda nga ang sinabi ng BSP kanina, pati kami dito ang daming natutunan, talking about yung increase in the number of usage of digital payment in the Philippines, digital finance, then yung mobile banking, pwede na rin pala. Straight from your homes, you can open, you can deposit, you can transfer. I think that's some of the problems kahit kami nga dito sa PTTC, I think a lot of our MSMEs o yung ating mga gustong magbayad sa kanilang mga buyers kaya or sellers in terms of check, yung sigurong kailangan pa nating matutunan how we can maximize the use of mobile banking. And he also mentioned about national retail payment system. Ang dami nating nakuha, PesoNet and InstaPay and the QR code, and of course yung protecting. In the series 1 of the Control Biz Reboot Now, isa sa mga tinatanong talaga doon yung security, but our friend from Central Bank was mentioning about chatbot. Alam ko naman marami tayong na-pick up doon. Kaya lang mayroong isa tayong gustong itanong dito kanina. Yung binabanggit po kanina ni Director De Villa, something about KYC. Ano nga po ba yung KYC? To think na digital na po tayo ngayon. Sir? Sir De
Well,
Villa?
okay. Well, ang KYC, it stands for Know Your Customer. Yung basic requirement niyan pag nagbubukas ng account, may mga information about the account holder na kailangan i-disclose sa banko para to identify that as part ng profile ng account. Ngayon at digital na, ang tawag na natin sa kanya ay eKYC, Electronic KYC.
KYC, okay.
Particularly, that applies for mga institutions that can do yung onboarding fully digital, meaning hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa bangko, hindi mo na kailangan or sa any supervised institution para mag-fill up ng form, para ilagay yung pangalan, magbigay ng ID, ilagay lahat ng mga address na kailangan. Hindi mo na kailangan pumunta sa bangko para gawin yun. That can all be done virtually through your mobile phone. And there are banks and there are EMIs that are actually doing that already. Kaya napapabilis yung onboarding. Nga pala, let me just share some statistics with you. Hindi ko lang napakita kanina. From the time nag-ECQ, no March, I think March 17, till
Yes.
end of April, there were 4.2 million new accounts that were actually created, onboarded, fully digital, end-to-end. Meaning, gamit ko lang itong telepono ko. Nagagawa na yun yan ng mga ilan institusyon.
Okay. So yung
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
yes po. So yung sinasabi nyo kanina natin na target natin na by 2020 or 2023 talagang we are really seeing that we will be able to achieve that na talagang dadami yun. Yung nga sana gusto ko idugtong kanina sir kasi nga talagang nagiging relevant and nagiging imperative sa ating mga consumers and even MSMEs to really go digital dahil nga sa nangyari ngayon. So talagang yung from 1% to 10% to 20% and higher.
To 50.
Kaya po nating abutin. Yes po. Yes.
Yan talaga tinutulak ng ating governor na yun. Si Governor Benjokno, mabigat talaga siya dyan pagdating sa digital. Minomonitor niya ng husto.
Okay. Thank you po. Gusto ko lang tanong yung ating pong mga partners po dito na galing sa online payment. Halimbawa ako ay isang MSME. May binibenta ako kasi ganito nangyayari. Pag isa kang MSME and you want to be a part of an online selling platform, more often than not, ang nangyayari is kasama na doon sa iyo offer nila kung kaninong online payment platform ang gagamitin. Pero pag halimbawa pag ako gusto ko magbenta, meron akong website, doon ko i-promote yung ating produkto. Paano po sila magsisimula para po makuha nila or they can make use of the services that you're offering? May we start from Paymaya? Raymond?
So thank you Ma'am Nelly. Yung sa amin kasi yung belief system ni Paymaya, pag merchant kayo kaya micro SME, lahat ng payment systems na kaya nyong tumanggap ng payments, pinoprovide namin sa inyo. Nandyan ang Visa, Mastercard, BankNet, QRPH, Paymaya, e-wallets, e-wallet. So kung paano magsimula, ang nakikita nyo ngayon, sumasagot yung team namin, we actually launched yung bagong produkto namin. Ito yung Paymaya Negosyo. Naisip namin kasi na talagang ang kailangan ng mga negosyante ay iba sa mga consumers naman. Kasi dun sa Paymaya Negosyo app namin, dyan dadagdag lahat ng mga programa namin para sa micro SMEs at dyan din pupunta lahat ng mga tools na kailangan ng mga negosyante para lumago ang business nila. So, yung sa amin lang, pinadali na namin yung pagkuha ng merchant account or ibig sabihin nito, iba yung Paymaya consumer account sa merchant account. So, yung sa amin, download lang kayo ng Paymaya Negosyo account. Pag-download nyo doon, create kayo ng account. Nasabi nga ni ni Direct V3 kanina, meron din ho yan electronic KYC to really validate po ang identity nyo. At dyan po lalabas na yung QR nyo. Doon pa lang nakaka-accept na kayo ng cashless payment sa simula. Tapos doon din namin ilalagay lahat ng mga programa namin para sa micro SME. Doon din lalabas sa mga training sessions namin. Doon din lalabas sa mga, mga konting mga pangpalago ng business nyo, mga bagong tools. Tapos doon nyo na rin makikita at ang simula ng journey namin, sisimplihan ko na lang muna para hindi complicated. Download nyo muna yung Paymaya Negosyo app. Create kayo ng account at doon po ang magsisimula ang journey nyo to be able to accept all the forms of payments naman that Paymaya can offer. Tapos po nun, nandyan na rin, lilitaw na rin yung mga Visa, Mastercard, Banknet at iba pa.
Okay, how about yung sa process naman ng GCash? Justin?
Yes, Miss Nelly. Yung sa GCash naman po na process ay meron kaming email kung saan pwede mag-reach out yung mga nagnegosyante natin or mga nagpaplanong magnegosyo. And then yung next step doon, once they have sent their inquiry, may magre-reach out sa kanila na ating mga account managers to further scope kung ano yung bagay sa kanila na produkto, whether it's a webpay product, a device, or yung simpleng QR lang namin. So sa amin, part ng process is pag-scope kung ano talaga yung plano ng ating negosyante sa kanyang customer experience. No? So once na-determine po natin, ay bubuksan natin siya ng merchant account na angkop doon sa customer experience na gusto niyang sundin para ma-master niya na mas madali kasi naka semi-customized na sa kanyang process yung produkto or na-pair natin na maayos.
So ibig sabihin talaga tinatanong natin Paymaya and GCash, yun, kailangan lang nilang kontakin talaga kayo and then they will actually find it out, everything that they need to know about yung process, nandoon na siya. Pero paano naman po, siguro this time, question natin po ito for Union Bank and from GrabPay. What if may napili na akong online, I have already chosen an online selling platform but I prefer your online payment platform to be my partner. Pwede ba yun?
Do I go first?
Yes, Justin.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Si JP po.
JP, yes, JP.
Apo. So may napili na po siyang platform kung saan siya magbebenta and gusto po niyang gamitin yung amin as the payment gateway.
Yes.
Apo, pwede naman po. We always believe na ang choice po talaga nandun pa din sa business owner. So either gusto niya po kami gamitin as the payment platform or gusto po niya si Paymaya, whoever. Sinisigurado po namin na lagi kami makakapag-connect kung ano man pong website yung gamit nyo, kung ano man pong payment platform yung gagamitin nyo.
So walang exclusivity. So depende kung ano yung gusto nila, you can always make arrangements. Yes, the same question. Yes, thank you. The same question also goes to Johnny Bates. What if I have already chosen my online selling platform, but I wanted to make use of GrabPay as my payment gateway? Will you be able to adjust?
Yes, definitely we can. We have our own online payment method, which is fairly easy to integrate. We are already live on some examples such as Zalora, Shop SM, Beauty Manila, and at least a couple hundred other smaller e-commerce websites. And in order for us to enable that, you can just reach us at merchantsupport.ph@grab.com, and we're placing this email throughout the comments in the questions. In addition, though, if our online payment acceptance is not enabled on your website, our Grab customers can use their virtual GrabPay MasterCard, which we've just released actually this week. And with that, they can shop on millions of online sellers online.
Mhm. Okay, that's interesting. Eto pa, no, marami sa ating mga kababayan, they just, promote and sell their products making use of Facebook, for example. Siguro, and they're looking for possible payment gateway that can help them. Sino may program na ganito sa ating mga panelists ngayon? Maybe we can ask JP?
Yes.
Yes.
So, so for Union Bank po, we have a technology company, a subsidiary of ours called UBX. And nakapag-develop po kami ng mobile ng app called Bux, BUX. So you can try to check it out online. It's bux.ph na pwede nyo pong gamitin as a payment gateway also para sa mga iba-ibang bagay like Facebook selling, Viber selling. So nakaka-generate ng link that you can use for those channels. I think similarly po our friends in Paymaya and GrabPay and GCash also.
Mhm. Okay, sige. So I won't ask them anymore. Pare-pareho yung proseso, ano. Eto, pinag-uusapan na lang din natin po yung security dahil kailangan nga before you can pay. Ayun, we are talking about tawag dito yung ATM kaya or credit card or yung debit card and some information that you need to provide, ano. Eto, sabi nga dito, this is for our partner from Central Bank, Survey 3. Sabi, digital safety and security ang dapat ma-improve para iwas hack or identity evidence theft. Okay, galing yung question kay Miss B. Hicks. And relatedly, may sinasabi rin dito from Jose Pallones. Ang tanong niya po, how secure is the online payment to the hackers? Related pa rin po, isahin ko na lang din kasi this is still on security. Ano? How secure is our money in using this online banking? What security measures are being done to be secured in our transaction? Sir V3, please.
Siguro sagutin ko ng ganito ho yan. As I mentioned earlier, to be able to have electronic bank or to be able to transact electronically, to be able to give that financial institution the license and authority to do digital financial services, merong mga requirements ho yan. One of the main requirements is the infrastructure, the security that they have to protect customers, clients, and their infrastructure. Lahat ho yan sinusuri. That's why if for those that apply but there are areas by which we have concerns on, particularly on their information security framework and infrastructure, then hindi ho namin linilisensya yan. Hindi namin binibigyan ng authority yan until such time that they are able to address our findings. If I may, I think the other portion was in relation to how do we ensure safety from hackers.
Yes.
I think what I mentioned earlier will also address that. But I think let me just siguro inform everyone that that we have a rule, we have a regulation that requires immediate reporting of any kind of incident that may have to result to some kind of disruption in service. When these disruptions take place as a result, if ever, of any kind of malicious activity, we have to be informed. There's a rule of that. We have to be informed immediately. And resolution in terms of quick response time, in terms of what the bank is doing, would have to be done within a quick turnaround. That reporting, we call it an EDRN reporting. Some kind of quick incident reporting. Within 2 hours of that incident, kailangan alam na namin. Tapos within 24 hours, dapat may clear action na sila na ginagawa to resolve it. Because normally, ang nangyayari, when we receive these kinds of reports coming from our supervised entities that there were some kind of potential risks or disruptions, perhaps arising from some mga hacker, we also communicate it out in an anonymized confidential advisory to the other members of the community. para from their end they can already safeguard and do what's necessary in the event that they may possibly be hit by the same kind of attack. So there's that information sharing that's happening within the community para lang mapapaghandaan for more of a proactive action. I think there was also another question earlier about penalties in terms of legal remedies against these, let's say, hackers or scammers. It's sad to say we don't live in an ideal world. May talagang malaswang mga tao nandyan na dapat sa mga ganyan hinuhuli at saka kinukulong at pinapatayan. Yan ang nangyari sa atin dito during the COVID crisis because of maraming mga scammers na lumalabas with fake mails and acting as if they are asking for donations, and may mga ibang medyo that fell into these kinds of activities na nabawasan ng kanilang mga funds. Ano yan? There's coordination within the banking community, with DOJ and even NBI that resulted to the arrest of these individuals. Kaya kailangan, ang maganda, pag let's say may mga threat doon sa account nyo and you see some suspicious transactions that perhaps are not done by any authorized individual from that institution, i-report nyo kaagad sa institution. Because may escalation na nangyayari dyan. Kasi kung hindi naman rin i-report yan, hindi malalaman ng mga regulator, hindi malalaman ng mga enforcement agency para mahuli itong mga scalawags na yan.
Okay, yun. Importante nga, no, yun sa mga gumagamit talaga nito, kung kayo na biktima. Kaya nakikita po natin dito, mayroon tayong ilan nga sa mga nagtatanong ngayon because they've been a victim. Importante po, report the information, okay? Para po sila rin maaral nila and they can already start investigating or studying your issue. Okay, may ang sabi nga dito kanina, eto wait lang, iakit natin siya. Related pa rin ito, although we just wanted to share this. From Michelle Reynoso, sabi niya, now rampant ang mga scammers or hackers using online at digital banking. Sabi niya, sharing lang to. I personally was a victim of this. That's why I'm worried about online banking payments. How po ito ina-address regarding enhancement on our online banking laws in the Philippines? I think masyadong lax daw po ang penalties sa mga scammers and hackers. Are there any improvements sa penalty daw po?
Actually, I just mentioned it earlier, no. When the Bayanihan law was put in place, particularly during this time of pandemic, and there are those scammers that are capitalizing on the pandemic, there are strict penal provisions there that would actually provide these kinds of sanctions and penalties. Kaya rin napabilis itong sinabi ko kanina, itong mga scammers na recently nahuli at dinampot ng NBI. I think it's other than that, it's actually also reporting it to the bank and for the banks themselves, because ito rin ang part ng consumer protection. Ang sinasabi namin sa mga institutions like yung banks or yung mga EMIs, that maliwanag dapat yung handling rin nila ng kanilang mga kliyente. Yeah. At saka yung mga help desk nila na tumatanggap nitong mga tawag na to. At hindi nagpapasapasahan. Minsan may mga impression ho ng ganun. Kaya kailangan, there's also quick resolution. Yun ho rin ang naayos namin sa industriya para yung mga, let's say, kasi pag may nangyaring incident na ganyan, ang kadalasan may dalawang institusyon na involved. May counterparties. Kailangan mapagharap at saka makapag-usap ka agad anong magandang gawin.
Okay, kaya importante po yun, doon sa ating mga MSMEs and even the mga consumers po natin na gumagamit ng online payment gateways, isa rin siguro sa mga considerations, and I think tinitingnan rin talaga ito ng ating mga gateways na they are satisfying yung consumers natin or the users, yung client satisfaction na sinasabi or user satisfaction and customer service. Yung paano nyo i-respond, paano kayo mag-response doon sa mga if ever there are complaints that are filed related to how they use yung ininyo pong platform. Tanong ko lang po, kasi I'm also coming of course from the government government and from the DTI, we're also collecting parang mga payments from our clients, but right now hindi pa po kami online. So sa government, for government agencies like us, this goes to all our panelists. Anong payment platform ang pwede po sa kanila? Dapat online din ba ang government, or mayroon ba kayong mga naging kliyente na nag-online payment na rin po? Maybe hear from yes, Raymond.
Ako ma'am, napakagandang tanong. Actually, we're powering, especially ngayon, si DTI. Sila ang actually pinakaunang, I guess, government agency na talagang digital payments right away. And I think yun yung leadership talaga ng DTI towards that. But for us kasi talagang yung push lagi ni Paymaya, lahat dapat ng payments or types of payments dapat ina-accept nyo. Kasi sa totoo lang, ngayon, yung customers, ang daming methods of payments at kailangan mo makuha yung customer. Lalo na kung yung customer gumagamit ng Paymaya wallet, sana maka-accept ka rin ng Paymaya. And I think, the government leading the charge of being able to accept all forms of payments is just the best representation. Napaka-progressive po ng gobyerno natin because they're opening everything up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Raymond. It's good to hear yung DTI nga is walking the talk. Sinasabi natin, because we're already talking about e-commerce and online payment. Parang hindi naman magandang makita na tayo mismo hindi natin siya ina-advocate or pinapatronize. How about Johnny Bates? The same question. Do you have, programs, or maybe do you already have government agencies that are already making use of your gateway?
Yes, currently in our app, you can pay for SSS contributions, MMDA fees, and I believe we also have Pag-ibig and a couple others. We are working hard to bring them all on board, though.
Good. Okay, it's good to know that we have
Nelly,
Yes
pwede ko
po,
bang dadagdagan ko lang, di ba?
Okay
Mas maganda na natanong mo yan kasi in relation to one of the slides that I showed, yung kanina about the eGov Pay, eGov link-based pay portal. Because most of the government agencies or instrumentalities, they have to bank with a government bank. So either DBP yan or nasa land bank. Kaya nga gumawa tayo ng eGov Pay or eGov link-based pay portal para all those government instrumentalities and agencies pwede na mag-enroll doon sa portal na yun. Para all payments that have to be made to them can be facilitated through that portal. Tsaka yung portal na yan, gumagamit ng PesoNet. So sort of saying, yung portal nung sa eGov link-based pay, ko-connect sa PesoNet, pag nakakonect na sa PesoNet yan, ang dami nang pwede magbayad ng mga iba-ibang bangko na nakakonect sa PesoNet. I think na-mention nga, isa nga kayo sa una other than BIR na nakakonect dyan sa link-based, eGov link-based. Nabanggit ko rin kanina, mayroong mga there are 56 institutions right now. Dumadami pa yan. Ang gusto rin namin makita sana yung sa susunod, yung mga those government instrumentalities na maraming front-facing clientele, particularly when you talk about registration, licensing, appointments, let's say, or passports, yung mga licenses. That's all in motion.
Okay. Palagay ko interested rin ating mga viewers ngayon to find out kung meron rin bang clients si GCash and Union Bank, government agencies. Maganda rin mapakinggan natin. Justin?
Yes, Miss Nelly. So, aside from the mentioned DTI, matagal na nating partner, we also have yung mga PSA, even BIR, and some local governments na tumatanggap GCash in multiple forms. So, diba, sa PSA, nasa payment gateway nila, doon sa website, pag umorder tayo ng copies ng birth certificate natin, marriage certificate, at ibang legal documents. Even kung walang app, meron din tayong star 137, or yung star 143 number sign na pwedeng i-access ng mga kabayan may GCash account pero walang smartphone. So sa app naman, marami tayong billers na government, may government category talaga doon, i-explore nila.
Okay, tinanong na lang din natin sila lahat. Tapusin na lang din natin kay JP. JP, anong mga agencies if you're covering any government
Hi.
agency that's already making use of your gateway? Yes?
Yes, so we cover also po mga government, especially para sa mga businesses and mga corporates. So we allow Social Security, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, BIR, Customs, SEC, and other agencies also whose direct link is more for the businesses.
Okay. Sige po, fast talk po tayo para po meron tayong isang tanong, bilis lang po nating sagutin ito, no? Okay. Ayan po. For all panels, can you share, this is from Pat Puente. Can you share how much ang fees or ilang percent ang kailangan naming bayaran? Kasi I heard GCash is charging a certain percentage of service fee. Para makipakinggan natin, makompare siguro nila from all of you. We'll start from JP, please.
So service fees in terms of as a payment gateway po, no?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so meron po kapag payment gateway po kasi kapag tumatanggap ka let's say ng credit card payments para sa amin po if you become a merchant of Union Bank. Normally po may mga merchant discount rate na tinatawag which will roughly be from around 2.75 to around 3.5%. Depende po yan kung anong industriya kayo, kung anong produkto po yung binibenta nyo.
Okay.
And of course, some transaction fees. And for top-ups naman po or yung mga tinatawag namin mga partner channels, over-the-counter channels, normally po yan nagre-range from 10 pesos to 20 pesos na transaction fee.
Okay, please take note of that, no, yung mga nagtatanong. From GCash, about from GCash, how much ang fees or ilang percent na bang kailangan bayaran ng ating MSMEs? Justin?
So yung sa regular rates po natin, Ms. Nelly, nasa 2% po. Pero depende din sa industry. Same with the Sir JP na sinasabi. So although in percentage-wise, nasa 2% yung regular and then pinag-uusapan din per industry kung may bababa
Okay. Yes, GrabPay, please. Johnny Bates.
na mabibi.
Yes, very similar answer. It really depends on the category of the merchant, and fees typically in the market can range from 1% to 3%. So for us, we try to cater it, depending on what the volume that the merchant has, and also what category they belong in, and then of course depends, how. Whatever we offer needs to be consistent and at least competitive with what the market's offering too. So it's really quite bespoke depending on the merchant.
Okay, so we're just giving each one a chance to answer. This time from Paymaya, Raymond Villanueva.
Yeah, ma'am, sa amin naman, yung rates namin ngayon for micro SME dahil nag-COVID po tayo, we decided to do it at 1.5% for QR po. So, yan po ang makikita niyo sa Paymaya Negosyo. Pero yung sa Visa, Mastercard, BankNet at mga other, electronic payments namin, yun po ay katulad nung sinabi ng iba, depende po sa category nyo, etc. Pero very competitive ho kasi yung Paymaya po, kami rin ho ang nagpo-process ng payment. So we actually have the most aggressive rates or probably one of the most aggressive rates to process your payments. So yun po yung mapapromise namin sa inyo.
Raymond, ito may katanungan pa rin sa iyo, no? Sabi dito from Johnny Benitez, I tried to find out how to use Paymaya for my website as a payment gateway, but your website has no information on technical requirements and costs. Why don't you publish daw on your website, Raymond?
Yeah, so Johnny, feel free to contact me personally. I can walk you through it. Actually, we have a developer's website where all the APIs are actually published. So maybe I'll have my team direct you to the right places. And definitely all the integrations sa mga platforms, mga e-commerce platforms, naka-post na doon. So that definitely is there. Will help you, will direct you towards the tech documents for it.
Okay, meron tayong body ngayon nandiyan sa ating back-end na sumasagot rin sa mga tanong. So maybe we can also give them your email address so they can get more information from you. For Union Bank this time, this is from FB Live Miavilo Liowak. Okay, sabi niya, can we open a company account to be able to receive payment online? That's for JP.
Yes, of course, you can. You can. For now, yung parang na-mention po ni Sir Vitri, the eKYC and the immediate account opening, it's available for personal accounts. But for business accounts, you can always get in touch with us, and one of our relationship managers will get in touch with you para po matulungan kayo ma-open yung business account. And yes, makakatanggap po yan ng payments.
Okay, good. Thank you. This time for Bangko Sentral, this is from Alvic Josol, galing po sa ating Zoom Q&A. If BankNet is using VocaLink platform, this is same platform used in Singapore and Thailand for fund transfer. Will there be a possibility that we can use our bank account in the Philippines to pay vendors when we will visit Singapore and Thailand without withdrawing cash and convert it to another currency? And talking about interoperability, this will be a big help to the Philippine users of NRPs too. Yes, sir.
Actually, maganda na tanong yan because there is an ASEAN body, as you know, the ASEAN member countries have a working committee called the Payment System Subcommittee, which talks about the interoperability of these kinds of transactions. Particularly, let's say, tama nga, let's say if we travel to Singapore and we want to purchase something, the trust is to be able to use QR. Pagkatapos yung madedebit, madededuct yung account ko dito sa Philippines in pesos, while yung merchant doon mababayaran in Singapore currency. There's a program that's being worked out and may timeline ho yan ginagawa. So that's also work in progress. But maganda na sabi yan to raise the awareness. The target is if not by 2021, early 2022, meron na tayong mga country na pwede nang gawin yun within ASEAN.
Good. Okay, that's very good news. Meron pa ditong tanong, sir, from Jose Pallones. This is also for Central Bank. Does this payment platform, or para sa lahat, I think, okay, or yes, does this payment platform, can it transact? Ano ba siya? Tanong niya. Does this payment platform can transact PayPal?
Excuse me. Actually, PayPal is like an e-commerce platform. From that e-commerce platform, there are different payment partners. And the payment partners can be any of these institutions that we're talking to right now. So,
okay. Sige po. Ezra Nicole Basto is asking, how about your maintaining balance? Are there any? May maintaining balance ba? Sa lahat siguro. Fast talk lang po. Unahin po natin from Union Bank. Maintaining balance?
Hi, so marami po kaming klaseng accounts. Meron kami accounts na walang maintaining balance, meron din po kaming meron. So depende po sa, let's say, kung gusto nyo po walang maintaining balance, meron po kami mga debit cards for that, savings accounts. And normally, pag checking account, meron na po yan as low as 5,000 and merong 25, may 50, may mga iba-ibang add-ons po siya na pwede nyo makuha, depende po sa maintaining balance na pipiliin ninyo.
Okay, nagsha-shopping yata yung ating SME, ano? From GCash, Justin, the same question. Meron ba tayong maintaining balance?
For merchant accounts po, wala siyang need ng maintaining balance because we sweep to the banks. Dun sa personal accounts, wala rin. So, I think that covers most, question niya talaga.
Okay,
if
thank
I
you.
may, pwedeng dumagdag lang. Di ba?
Yes, sir.
You know, kasi maganda nga nasabi, iba-ibang produkto, mga ino-offer ng mga ating mga supervised institutions. Dinidifferentiate ko lang ang deposit account and electronic money account. Electronic money account, usually walang balance yan eh. It's more to be able to transfer funds na mabilis. At ang deposit account, depende sa produkto na ino-offer ng bangko. Na mayroong mga maintaining balance, mayroong mga may wala. Kaya lang, gumawa rin kami ng framework. A framework where banks will be able to promote what we call a basic deposit account. May mga institutions, may mga bangko na nag-o-offer ng produkto na yun, na basic deposit account. It's primarily to be able to cater to those that do not, yung access to funds nila on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, that mahirap sila makamaintain ng a certain balance required by the banks. So itong basic deposit account na to, walang maintaining balance yan. walang maintaining balance, walang dormancy fees. As long as I think it's within 50,000, no? 50,000 yung basic deposit account. Only if, let's say, maraming transactions that go beyond that balance of 50,000, only then will that account shift to a regular deposit account. Ito ho kasi, tinatawag namin basic deposit account para ma-facilitate yung pagkabukas ng mga bank accounts ng those who need to be financially included in the system. Those that ang source of funding nila is only on a weekly basis or if not even on a daily basis, that ang funds nila, whatever comes in, goes out quickly. But they're not being, hindi sila napapasok doon sa financial system. At saka dahil hindi sila napapasok sa financial system, yung benefits that they can get from being part of the financial system, wala doon. Kaya maganda to include them also. That's why nakapasok ng programa ng basic deposit account. Yun
Okay.
po yung tawag namin no frills account.
Okay po. Thank you po. Ayan po. May sumagot na. Nagpalabas kami kanina ng poll, poll question, what is the most important factor in considering an online payment platform? So far, ito po yung lumabas sa mga choices: security, reliability, acceptability, and cost-wise. Ay, lalabas po ulit namin ito. You can actually vote, Pwede kayong pumili from among the selections that we are showing you on screen. And then we will show you again the result mamaya before we end para makita natin kung ano ba yung feeling ng ating mga audience as far as, selection or choosing the right platform. So makikita rin siguro ito ng ating mga panelists dito later para ma-consider nila na ito yung tinitingnan ng ating mga MSMEs and even consumers which they consider as very important. This time again for BSP, Bangko Sentral po. Again, on security, important for our kababayans po, sabi ng Active Index Corporation. Are there BSPs available guidelines or frameworks in terms of cybersecurity standards or compliance requirements for businesses engaged in online payment? I-relate ko na rin po, sir. Ito pa, parehong question. Fintech is apparently one of the most vulnerable sectors when it comes to cybersecurity threat. And also, additional question po ito for Sir Vitri De Villa. Would like to ask with regards to security again, since it was discussed and you have explained clearly that there will be great penalty to those scammers and who tries to penetrate our platforms. Remember, Comelec, sorry to ask this, but I see that government made a well-funded system for election, including that system they used, yet still bug was found and got penetrated. What makes your platform more secured considering this hacking situation happened to government agencies before? Are your platform well-funded in terms of security? Sir Dimitri, please.
Well, ganito hong sagot ko dyan. Because the platform is platform being used by the financial institution. Yung sinusupervise namin, yung financial institution na binigyan ng lisensya to be able to do electronic banking. Now, to be able to be issued that kind of electronic banking license, meron silang infrastructure that would have to be in place where all these security measures ay yung sinusuri namin. We have circulars and regulations that would put in place what is the information security risk management framework dictate or required of an institution to be able to gain these kinds of licenses. That's the point that I was trying to make earlier. The NRPS platform is a framework, a framework that banks and electronic money issuers will be using to be able to transact with one another. So their platform, the platform of the institutions, would have to provide that kind of safety in terms of being able to address the requirements of their clients. Again, but to be a member of that platform, to be part of that framework, that those financial institutions would have to be licensed. And when they are licensed, they go through that rigorous scrutiny of their information security risk management standards and framework. I just want to add about fintech, because the fintech space, the fintech players have really mushroomed, and that's good because they are actually our partners in moving forward digital means of transacting. But they either partner with supervised entities that fall under the BSP, particularly for those that are taking for financial institutions that provide payment services, that take deposits. But if they don't take deposits, these are not under the VSP. They fall under with our other regulatory body like SEC, because there are fintech players that just provide lending facilities. They don't take funds and they don't grant out loans. Those that take funds and grant out loans take funds in the form of deposits. They have to be licensed as a banking institution. Now, if another institution such as an electronic money provider, electronic money issuer, adun rin sa ano yan, sa BSP. But not all fintech players that provide that provide services are not all under the BSP. Kaya mayroon rin kami collaboration with the other agencies like SEC and Insurance Commission. Because there are also fintech players that cater to the companies that these insurance commission and the SEC also regulate.
So may kanya-kanyang coverage po yung mga different agencies in
Yes.
monitoring po yung e-payment gateways po natin. Sir.
Yes, when it comes to entities that fall under their jurisdiction.
Yes.
But maganda dyan, there's a collaborative oversight effort or initiative where the different agencies regularly meet, regularly talk, and discuss these mga overlap, let's say may mga issues, concerns, overlapping, let's say, policies that they need some consistency. Lahat yun, we talk about those things also. There's what we call a financial sector forum, where these four regulatory bodies are members. It's headed by the governor of the Bangko Sentral.
Okay,
And,
thank you very much po.
and the heads of the agencies of the other regulatory bodies.
Yeah, okay. For online platforms, this is for Paymaya, GrabPay, GCash, and Union Bank. A question is from Jennifer Baltazar. Sabi niya, we are a Getieng Travel and Tours agency based in Baguio. Currently, we accept payments through Palawan Express and banks. However, we want immediate confirmation of payments and tracking. Okay, and confirmation and tracking. Which among the panelists or who among the panelists offer payment tracking? Also, sometimes our clients pay a big amount for their tickets. Tickets and tours, etc. Percentage charge is not practical in this case. Do you also offer fixed charges? Raymond, please.
Yeah, so I'll pick it up muna on, so we've been powering e-commerce platforms and payments and e-payments for the past actually 3-4 years. Lahat ng tools na makikita mo from major, I guess, e-commerce platforms, from instant payments and acknowledgements and all of that, it's already all there. And I think that's really part of how we process payments, especially now na pag yung mga nagta-travel is using Visa, MasterCard, BankNet, and the e-payments, the e-wallets themselves. On the other side naman, on getting the fixed payments, I believe that there are some programs that takes a look at that also. But that really depends on the type of payment or the mode of payment naman that the customer is using. And I think that's really critical. My advice and all the time is actually the acceptance of all forms of payments it should be still the priority of all the merchants. Kasi yung mga customers na yan, definitely they're looking at the way that they want to pay. So yung advice ko is that, we always offer any form of payment and all forms of payments to the customer. And generally, yung may costs kasi talaga to process these payments. And these are the things that we're trying to make sure that we give you the best solutions out there. So yun yung sa akin. Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am.
Sorry, okay. The same question for Johnny Bates, please. Hello.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with Raymond's point. I would also suggest for any online merchant to try to accept as many payment methods as possible. Now, on the question on tracking and real-time tracking of payments, when you onboard with GrabPay, we will give you a GrabPay merchant app. And there's also a web portal for it as well, where you have the ability to see all your transactions in real time. Do analytic reports to see from daily or weekly or monthly view. And you can also push instant refunds from that portal or from the app as well.
Okay, thank you. For GCash, Justin Yap, a question is this time from Tyron Cosep. If I think this is for Banco Central. Sorry, Banco Central. Tyron Cosep is the one who sent the question. If the product I sell has intrinsic limitations or age limit rules, for example, for liquor, but meron minor na makabili either because they falsify their data or use an eligible friend's online payment facility, will I as a seller be held liable or not, considering yung customer naman ang gumawa ng fraud to be able to purchase the product? Sir Dimitri?
Baka kailangan ko ang tulong ng DTI para sumagot yan. Because from the payment channel, it's more of the entities that fall under our supervision, particularly yung financial institution. Diba? Yung financial institution, when it's engaged in the payment, yung pagbubukas na ng account with that kind of financial institution. Iba naman yung my understanding, yung bumili ng produkto, no? Ibinenta dun sa dapat hindi ipagbentahan. I think that's more of the question rather than the mode of payment.
Okay, ito na lang po yung tanong natin ulit sa inyo, sir. Sir Dimitri, does Bangko Sentral of the Philippines regulate GCash, Paymaya, Union Bank, and GrabPay?
Definitely, they are all licensed by us when it comes to their electronic money operations and banking operations. They went through our scrutiny, and they should know what kind of scrutiny they go through before they issue that kind of license.
Parang gusto natin bigyan ng floor din yung ating mga panelists ngayon to ask question from the Bangko Sentral. Meron bang gusto magtanong?
Alam mo, madadagdagan ko lang, marami silang tinatanong because we collaborate with them and we keep an open line of channel. Yun ang maganda dito eh. Kailangan we're in close contact, we do not cut ties, particularly in this day and age now where the model, the one size fits all model will no longer fit.
Yes.
Particularly when we're talking about technology. And there are others out there that they want to, let's say, try a new form of way to go about things, capitalizing on technology. And they're not also sure whether or not it falls out, what regulations will apply. Kaya we're open to discuss with them because kung kailangan namin to go through a sandboxing, a test and learn approach, we do that.
Ganda yun.
It goes both ways. We both learn from the process and see which regulations, which policies need adjustment, if ever.
Okay, good to hear that. For GrabPay, Johnny Bates, the question is from Bon Jovi Layson, Australia. Do I really have to go through a video call for me to use credit card payment? I cannot go through the video call because I kept being dropped from the queue. Hope this can be resolved. Thank you. Johnny Bates?
Hi, Bon Jovi. Thank you for your question, and thank you also for your patience with that process. Actually, I'm very happy to announce that this week we rolled out a selfie feature for all eKYC. So if you could update your app and go back in, you'll see that there's now a simple selfie feature where you'll be able to do a selfie, submit, and I think within 1 to 2 days, you'll get approval, usually much quicker. So I think we've resolved this now. And thank you for trying, though, and for your patience. Okay.
This is really a very good opportunity for all our, consumers and even MSMEs to shoot their question, para ma-address. To anyone from our panelists, online payment gateway, can a company pay PhilHealth in any online facility? If yes, which one accepts payment for this government agency? PhilHealth daw, sinong tumatanggap ng bayad from among you? Meron ba? Union Bank?
Kami po. Yes, you can pay PhilHealth through our online business banking online channels, yes.
GCash. How about GCash? Si GCash ba, Justin?
Hello, sa last kong check, are not available pa yung PhilHealth. Pero let me get back to the via one of my buddies para mas specific yung tanong natin yung sagot natin din sa tanong.
Yes. Thank you. GrabPay. How about GrabPay?
We're working to bring it very soon.
Good. PayMaya, please.
Napakalapit na.
Oh.
Konting kembot na lang nandyan na.
Okay, good to hear, no? Kasi maraming naghahanap talaga yan. Okay, from BSP this time, from Alvic Josol. In the near future, when the national ID system will be implemented, will Bangko Sentral allow the use of mobile phones and email addresses as easy the remember proxies to enable more intuitive customer experience?
Well, actually, if perhaps maybe as an added additional reference, but the national ID should provide the actual needed identity already. You know, so with the national ID in place, that smoothens yung process ng eKYC. Because right now, in the absence of the national ID, it's different kinds of government IDs na kailangan. You know, at least when it comes around, which is sometime soon, all these things should be rationalized. The email address and mobile phone can be an additional reference, but not, I don't think, as a substitute for the national ID.
Okay, thank you, sir. Kanina nga, binabanggit rin ni Sir Dimitri na they're actually collaborating with all these gateways para nga ma-update and they get to exchange information. Eto, may tanong na naman, is there an intervention of the DICT with this with these platforms, or just merely with the technological function of each platform or financial institutions, so that we know where to address legal and technological issues, especially the transaction to government institutions like SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig? Maybe we address that question to Sir Dimitri, please. Kasali po ba dito si DICT?
Actually, I hope you don't mind, Nelly. It's ginagawa mo naman akong Ruso eh. Ako V3, hindi Dimitri. Kaya minsan di ko alam kung ako yung sasagot or hindi. But then again, mabalik lang tayo dun sa DICT question. Again, the entities that fall under us, like yung mga financial institutions under our supervision, those are those that we license. So, should there be a need for any kind of coordination or DICT, there's a collaboration that happens. But when it comes to financial institutions, it's the BSP that has the primary role, particularly when it comes to banks, electronic money, issuers, money service, business aspects. That's for the BSP.
Tayo, Mike. Okay, thank you very much po, Sir V3. Sorry po.
Okay lang.
Okay po, pampagising. For GCash, PayMaya, Union Bank, and GrabPay, sabi po ni Jennifer Baltazar, we are starting our online business and our marketing platform is Facebook and other social media. How do we integrate online payment system? Nasagot kanina, pero sige, baka gusto nyo lang ulitin. How do we integrate daw yung online payment because they're making use of Facebook as their online selling platform? Yes, we'll start with Raymond, please.
Yeah, so sa amin naman, actually, yung thrust namin is the ability to accept all forms of payments, including ngayon yung bagong e-commerce. Nakikita kasi namin may bagong trend ngayon na hindi lahat sa website na. Actually, rekta usapan from Viber to Facebook Messenger, doon na nagtutuluyan yung e-commerce transactions. And I think that's one of the more exciting things that we're seeing. Sa PayMaya, we have a couple of new products that help service that. Anything from the ability na makapag-send ka ng QR dun sa kausap mo. At ngayon, pwede ka na rin mag-send ng payment links. Yung payment links na yun will then open up parang e-commerce checkout sa kabilang side. Yun yung pinaka, I guess, one of the things that we had to innovate. Normally kasi sa first world countries, walang ganon. Actually, sa emerging markets talaga lumitaw. Yung payment links na yun, I think, is one of the biggest innovations that we had to do just because the Philippines is trying to do and is doing something like that.
Okay, thank you. Johnny Bates, please.
Yes, we have just since lockdown rolled out a new feature specifically for social sellers. So if you are selling on Facebook or Instagram or some other form of social media, we have a product called GrabPay Link. And this allows you to send a link directly to the customer in whatever messaging form that they contact you. And when the customer clicks on the link, it'll open up the GrabPay app and you'll be able to enter in the amount and pay immediately. And on the seller side, using the GrabPay merchant app, they'll be able to see the transactions in real time. So we're very excited. We just launched it also since lockdown has started. So please email us at merchantsupport.ph@grab.com.
Justin?
Yes, so during quarantine, we've seen an adaptation dun sa aming QR product. So we're familiar with what she's trying to ask, no? So it's a combination of Facebook promotions and then via Messenger na nagkakatuluyan, as Raymond said, yung transaction via the QRs. Also, the links na sinasabi nila, we can introduce interested merchants to our partners to integrate for use of those payment links, whatever yung preference nila for the payment options.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we would like also to listen to JP. Doon naman sa tanong nung about Facebook. Yes, JP.
Yes, actually, pare-pareho kami lahat. We have payment links available in Box. User experience, napakadali. Just send payment link to, and then you open Facebook Messenger and then the name. But what we are seeing also right now is madaming mga businesses, merchants, or individuals are sending over QR codes through Viber, through Facebook Messenger. Kasi yung QR din po namin is already compliant with the QRPH. So nagagamit po siya even with other banks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's actually 5 minutes before 4.
Ma'am, Deli, may dadagdag lang ako. I hope you don't mind para.
Okay, may tanong din po ako actually sa inyo, sir. I-connect ko na lang din po for Vitri. Ayun, Zainal, this is from Zainal de la Cruz. Sabi niya regulated. Babalik ko rin po yung tanong kanina sa inyo, and this one in addition, regulated po ba ang e-payment charges? Is government working toward the maging accessible as well as affordable na po for the masses ang e-payment? Yes, sir.
Actually, as it is right now, when it comes to pricing, it's market driven. And we believe that market forces should pull it down. Because if ever mataas, you won't get that much. Competition will actually play a big part of it. What we're trying to work out is being able to come up with something more reasonable for, let's say, payments of the local of the micro person, because ang maganda nga lang na yun, it's that under the ECQ, all these transfer fees through PesoNet and InstaPay have been waived. So that's good news. But when it comes to the smaller types of transactions, like later on, when we go back to the normal course of doing things, there perhaps may need to be a good way of revisiting also the fee structure. But then again, we believe in market forces, and that market forces should be able to pull it down rather than up. May dadagdag lang ako kanina ko sa
Go ahead.
You asked about the ICT, and what I forgot to note is that when we talk about internet, when we talk about lines of communication available, digital transactions are highly dependent on that. So I think that's where the DICT would come in, and also ensuring that everyone has good internet connection, other than the providers themselves.
Yes po. Okay, thank you very much po. That's our final question from Sir V3. Sabi niya nga kanina, tandaan ko simula, digital must be in your DNA to remain relevant. Siguro final question natin po, tips na lang po galing sa ating mga panelists coming from the representatives of the Gateway. Short tips for MSMEs on how easy to do online payment. Maikli lang po, go ahead. We'll start with Raymond, please.
Yeah, sa akin is actually subukan nyo. Yun yung biggest tip ko. Kasi quite honestly, yung fear of starting is possibly going to be the biggest thing. Kasi pag nandyan na, actually makikita nyo napakasimple. So for us, download the Paymaya Negosyo app. Yun yung simula para naman sa Paymaya.
Okay, Johnny Bates, please.
Yep. If you're looking to enable online payments, the time is now more than ever. So I think just having an appetite to try it and realize how much more efficient it is to reach your customers online. With Grab, I mean, 1 out of 6 Filipinos are using our app. So having that type of reach in a time like this is really important. Our online sign-up system is really quite simple, and we'll be publishing something pretty robust in the next couple of days.
Okay, very competitive lahat, ano? Justin, some tips?
So, some tips. So, safety first. Wag natin i-share yung mga details natin. And of course, feel free to try all the platforms kasi acceptance parang open tayo dapat sa lahat ng pwede ding matry ng mga means kasi ngayon it's for our safety rin as our convenience. So reach out to us at I want GCash QR at mint.xyz at tutulungan namin kayo to onboard.
Okay. Thank you. Safety first. Try all the platforms. Ang sinasabi ni Justin. This time from JP, please, of Union Bank. Tips
Yes,
for
napakaganda ng mga tips na binigay ng mga co-panelists natin. Sa dalawang bagay na lang po. Google Play or Apple App Store, just look for Union Bank online and go to bux.ph.
Okay. Wala siya. Okay, thank you very much po. And this time, we'd like to ask MD Vitri, siguro some words. So, thank you very much po talaga, sir, for joining us, the Managing Director for Fintech Subsector of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Sir Vitri. Sir, final words po.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank DTI for actually sponsoring something like this because this is very much needed in increasing awareness. Kudos, all power ASEC Gene. Continue on the good work. And one last thing in terms of going digital, I mentioned it earlier. Nail it, adapt to it, embark on it. NAE, now is the time to go digital to remain relevant. And always always remember to protect your jewels, your identity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, to be relevant, be digital. And ladies and gentlemen, kinakapos po talaga tayo ng oras. But for those who are interested in DTI's reboot package, we repeat, it is a work in progress. Kindly keep yourselves posted and wait until further notice. Full package inclusions and other details will be made available once it has been finalized. Thank you so much po. And once again, we'd like to thank our Central Bank Managing Director for Fintech Subsector, Sir Vicente de Villa III. Ayaw ko nang V3, baka mawawala naman ako. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much also to Vice President of Union Bank, JP Soliman. Thank you to the Vice President and Sales Head for Offline Payments of GCash, Justin Yap. For GrabPay, Country Head, GrabPay Philippines, Johnny Bates. Paymaya, Head of Business for QR Ecosystems, Raymond Villanueva. Maraming salamat po sa inyo for joining us. And before we finally end, let me just flash on screen again the result of the poll. Our question early on was, what is the most important factor in considering an online payment platform? 70% of the respondents said it's security. Security meaning secured information, account details, etc. Second is 19% for reliability, fast transactions, low or zero additional charges. And then they said acceptability, interoperability can be accepted on any payment platforms, okay, 6%. And cost-wise, affordability of charges and other fees. Hindi naman pala masyado importante sa kanila kung mahal ba siya o mura, di ba? Importante, secured yung kanilang linya. Okay, mga kaibigan, nagpapasalamat po ulit kami sa inyo. Abangan po ninyo ang ating pong schedule na susunod at 4 o'clock is, saan na yung aking listahan? Okay, ipa-flash na lang po namin siya sa inyong screen mamaya kung ano po yung susunod. But anyway po, we'd like to thank our learning partners, THEMS International Business School. Thank you, Joel. Hindi na kita nakita. Of course, Philippine Trade Training Center, the Department of Trade and Industry E-Commerce, our agency partner, Wonderman Thompson, enabling partners, Food Panda, GCash, Globe My Business, Lalamove, Google, Lazada, Paymaya, Paylink, GoGo, Shopee, Grab, TransUnion, Union Bank, Zalora, Leadmore, Air 21, Gawin PH, FedEx, PLDT, Enterprise, Shop Pinas, Zilingo. And we have the last two programs, it's afternoon sessions that will cover. One is how to finance your e-commerce transformation. That will be at 5 o'clock today. And finally, we will be wrapping up our series 2 of the Control Biz Reboot Now with a masterclass, bakit para sa iyo ang e-commerce? Okay? O baka naman hindi naman talaga. So find that out. Economics of e-commerce, that's at 6:30 tonight. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, sabi nga natin, don't conclude that the business will be terrible at this time of pandemic. It will just be different, and taking a step towards starting and registering your online business is the beginning of your different business. Mga kaibigan, sa ngalan po ng aming ASEC po dito sa DTI E-Commerce, ASEC Jean Pacheco, and of course our Secretary Mon Lopez of the Department of Trade and Industry. This has been Nelly Diliera of the Philippine Trade Training Center. Thanking all of you for joining us this afternoon, and catch us at 5 o'clock and again at 6:30. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thank you.